you can't lose it. It's the one thing you can't lose. That's funny, though. Just gone somewhere. Hopefully coming back soon. Okay, thanks for coming back. And what are your questions? And Carolyn's going to pass around a microphone because some people are listening on streaming and they can't hear your question unless you talk right into the microphone. So thank you for doing that.
You said at the introduction to the meditation about something to the effect of you wish for greater stability in your practice in meditating as a platform towards realization. So I wonder, I have the same longing, and I wonder how to distinguish that kind of longing from desire and detachment.
Oh, nice question. Well, in your question, there's an assumption that those can be distinguished, right? And so let's start there. How would you distinguish them? I'm not trying to trick you. I'm just really wondering about your thoughts.
Well, I guess that I have some trust that there's a difference. Exactly what it is, I don't know. I believe that the wish or the longing for progress and success in this process is something that is valuable, and it helps to sustain you in your practice. And it keeps alive the image of what's possible. But when you get frustrated, when it seems like it's far away or it's just out of reach, I think that kind of longing can turn into more intense kind of desire.
Yeah, and then it would be suffering, more suffering. So that's good, what you just said. That's quite good. Does this wish, desire, aspiration, and that's another good word, I aspire to. It's almost a cleaner word, actually. So it might be helpful to think about that one. I aspire to. We have a lot of aspiration prayers in this lineage. They're quite beautiful. Does it lead my mind into more suffering or lead my mind into loving kindness, joy, equanimity? Lead my mind into engaging in the practice. So no one can know that but yourself. So we're always having to, it's funny, I was just going to say we're always having to, in a certain way, lead ourselves, for the reason that teachers, books, friends, Dharma friends can say a lot of things, and we do, and they do. But what is useful to end our suffering, we need to know. So we take those things. So the way I distinguish is it feeding my ego, which I know will end up in more suffering, or am I motivated by the wish to end the suffering of all others? So that can be a very clear line too. Like, I wish I could stabilize my mind so that I could be completely aware of how suffering rises and how to meet it and how to end it. That feels like a much happier wish than I just wish I was happy, darn it. Or, I really want to be better at this. To me, part of the answer is how much I is in it. The letter I. How big is that I?
Thank you.
Is that helpful?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the question. It leads me to think a lot about motivation. One teacher, as a joke, like realtors always say, the success of selling your house is location, location, location. The success of your practice is motivation, motivation, motivation. And that's so important. And I forget it at times, think we all do. The motivation, why am I doing this? Why am I coming to the Dharma Center on a hot summer night? One level will be, I want to be happy, and when I sit and calm my mind, I feel better. That's a fine motivation. But we can look deeper, What's the effect on the others in my life when I do this? Well, like my husband used to say when I came home from retreats, I don't know what you do there, but it's sure nice for me when you get back, So in that way, he could be very happy that I go off to retreats instead of like, oh no, you're going to do that instead of a vacation, or whatever. So the effect on those close around us. And then we can grow our awareness to the interconnectedness we have with all beings and know that the effect ripples out to everyone. So we can start with that motivation, actually. My one teacher had us in the habit, and I still remember it most mornings, something like, may everything I think, say, or do today benefit others, even if I can't see how. May it be like that. I aspire that it's like that. What that helps me do, even I'm washing a dish, sometimes I think, how does this help anybody? I'm just in the kitchen washing a dish. Well, it's a good thing to do, to have beauty and order in our houses. It helps our minds, actually, it does. We can find things, and it has a smoother feeling around it. But we're so interconnected in that moment, we can think about who brings the water. I turn a faucet on. That more and more now that I've been practicing about 20 years, turning a water faucet on just seems amazing to me. And I'm not trying to say like I've got some great insights. I just think I'm finally tuning into the real world. But turning a water faucet on is amazing. I do not know hardly anything about that water. I can't make water come into my house. I don't know how. That means I'm relying on so many people. So many people. The whole water bureau, all those pipes. Who keeps the rivers clean? Yeah. So just each act can become so much more clear as we broaden that motivation. That's where those thoughts come from. living our lives to end the suffering of all beings opens so many thoughts, so many doors. Infinite, really. But we don't have to go that big. Just make that motivation each day. May I drink this water to help all beings? I don't know how that can work, but if I have that thought, I have a lot more joy drinking this water. Now, how could it help? I could even get scientific because it helps my health. I know a little bit about Dharma. So if I stay alive a little longer, maybe I can share it. Okay, good enough. Yeah, we need to connect these dots because the culture doesn't connect them. The culture pretty much says you're on your own. The extreme individualism. That's what we live with, and therefore we live with a lot of loneliness. A lot of loneliness. Which is, what does my therapist call it? Well, that's a major delusion. That sense of being all alone is a major delusion. Think about it. We're never alone. We're surrounded by billions of beings, bugs, people. 7.5 billion people. They're not all in our house, thank God, but they're around. We're with them. Yeah. Motivation, so important.
Hi. I wonder if you could talk more about interconnectedness in relation to identity and the self, and how one is to conceive of of moving through the world as a self in relation to wanting to embrace everyone at the same time.
Okay, now stick
I know it's
with
a
me
big.
here.
I know it's a big one.
I just want to get more clear about the question.
Yeah.
You've thrown out a lot of really important phrases. So see if you can hone in a little with a question. Like, my question is...
My question is, I often find that I'm vacillating between between extremes when I'm meditating. So I'll find I want to embrace interconnectedness,
Okay.
or I find that I'm kind of grasping for a self. So I guess I was hoping that you'd speak to kind of juggling those two extremes in the meditation process.
Interconnectedness and self.
Mm-hmm.
So does the self, is it opposed to interconnectedness?
I don't think conceptually that it is, but I think I sometimes struggle with that. Yeah.
What's the struggle look like?
I think it's connected to that individualism that you're speaking
okay.
about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's so big of a question. I feel like I'm wrestling an octopus up here. but that's maybe what you feel like. So no matter what we do or think, we're deeply interconnected. I'm going to say that again. No matter what we do, say, or think, we are already at all times deeply interconnected. We can't not be. Everything we think, say, or do affects others. Even I'm in my own house all alone. Everything in there I think, say, or do affects others. It's impossible for it not to. Even if the effect is only that when I go out of my house, I carry everything I've thought, said, and done in my house out with me. Okay? So if I'm in a bad mood in my house, I'm going to carry that out there. Or if I've meditated peacefully in my house, I'm going to carry that out there, right? It's not too hard to see that, right? Okay, good. So in a certain way, let me check this out with myself, what I'm just about to say. In a certain way, there's no contradiction between self and interconnectedness with others. So the difficulty is when we think there's a disconnected self. That self is a major delusion. I'm on to that phrase tonight. A disconnected, individual, unconnected self is a major delusion. And how many of us carry that? Everybody put your hand up. We all do. We all do. In certain moments, we carry it very tightly, like, I need to be right. Okay? You know what I'm talking about. I am right, you're wrong, I need to be right, and I need to prove it to you. That's a pretty gross sense of the disconnected self as opposed to other. You with me so far? Other times we feel a self, but it's just, I'm driving to the market, I'm taking a shower, I'm going to sit on my meditation cushion. It's there, but it's not problematic. It's just kind of what we call the conventional self. It's just kind of, no. It's not really harming anyone. It's this set of, what they call set of aggregates, which is a nice way to think about it, to loosen it a little. Each person is a set of aggregates, things that come together: bone, muscle, blood, skin, hair, teeth, nail, eyes, organs, and then a consciousness, which includes emotions, thoughts, just a set of aggregates. And every one of those is shifting constantly. Doesn't feel like it. Then on the set of aggregates, we put a label, Zopa. Right? So then it gets more and more solid. And then when a klesha, a disturbing emotion like greed arises, gosh, does that set feel real and opposed to what it's trying to get or can't get. So that's the self. The self has layers. There's this really strong sense of self. There's kind of milder senses of self. There's tons of identity labels with self: woman, young, white, middle class, rich, poor, able-bodied, gay, lesbian, straight, trans, queer, all of those, black, white. And then we can make those very, very solid and they can become a source of suffering, dependent on what the culture does with them, but also dependent on what we ourselves do with them. Now, that's kind of a context, okay? And now you're asking, when you're in your meditation, some kind of struggle goes on between, right? Were you asking more on the cushion? Or was that enough? Or what?
I guess I'm thinking about how that desire for individuality connects to kind of an insistence on separation that doesn't actually exist. So I think you tackled a lot of it.
Yeah, I don't think we desire individuality. I think we desire some things like freedom and choice, but those don't have to bump up against everyone. I think we are individuals and we are interconnected, and those are automatic, and they're automatically both there all the time, and they do a dance with each other. The dance doesn't have to be a fight. It's dancing in and out. Okay? So if I get really righteous and angry, I can, through my practice, see that. Like Zopa, you just grew, really big, and you're like not so nice to be around. I can see that, and I can use it to beat myself up, or I can use it as practice. I can sit and go, how did that occur? What went on? What were the pieces that went into me getting to that? And most all of the time, it's I didn't get what I wanted, or I got what I didn't want. And there's a lot of wanting and a lot of I in those. And that's what we start seeing. Just seeing. Not beating it out of ourselves, not saying it's horrible, not saying we shouldn't have it, even greeting it, saying, oh, hi, there you are again. I do that lately with my anxiety, and it's really going down so much. I go, oh yeah, there it is, starts right here, and then I go, okay, anxiety, hi. Hi, I see you again. Hello, your anxiety, that's you all right. This is what you feel like, this is what you do. Okay, yeah, I see you. All right. It's okay. But what we do instead is, oh no, the anxiety's coming. And then we fight, right? But I think it might be a good thing to just think about, are we really trying for individuality? We already have that. Are we really trying for interconnectedness? We already have that. More, it might be helpful to just see we have those. Okay? And get comfortable with them. There's no problem. No problem.
Thanks for working with my octopus.
Yeah. No, it's a good octopus. There may be other questions off of it. I don't know. It's not an easy dance, but it gets easier as we sit and see what rises in our minds, as we get to know our minds. There was a time when I was a young lawyer, if someone said to me, you're anxious, I would have said, no, I'm not. Now, that's an interesting thing about my mind. It took me a long time to say, I am anxious. Why did I say no? Because I felt embarrassed, kind of ashamed. wanted to hide it, but none of that helps. So it's much better to get to know ourselves and go, oh yeah. And one of the ways it connects to this bodhicitta is now I'm so much easier on other people who are anxious. I used to judge them because I couldn't look at my own. Now I go, oh, they're anxious just like me. And it feels so good. It's like a connection. Just like me, they're anxious. Or, wow, that guy just blew up. Yeah, I've done that, just like me. He blows up too, and he just screams. I've done that. This is how we move into the interconnectedness. And we're still totally individual. When I get mad, I don't scream just like anyone else does. I scream like Zopa does. It's very special. But it's very helpful to see. Yeah, just like me. It's one of my favorite bumper sticker Buddhist sayings is, look at some behavior in someone that you don't like and just try it on saying, just like me, I've done that. And I used to just hold it as kind of a strange direction, didn't think it really fit. And then more and more I could see it was true, absolutely true. We're so alike as humans. That's what's great. The Dalai Lama starts out just about every teaching saying, we all want the same things. We want to be happy. We want to be free of suffering. And we want that equally deeply. Just as much as I want it, you want it. How same? Everybody I don't like wants to be happy just as much as I do. That's a helpful thought. And they're trying, all the things they're trying to do that look so crazy to me, they are doing those to get happy. Now that's kind of astonishing. But I do some crazy things to get happy. Even stuff I know will make me not happy, I still do. So just like me. Now that doesn't mean that then we go, okay, so all behavior is fine. No, we still have ethics. And we still have loving kindness behavior versus cruel behavior. Which has a lot to do with ethics. A lot to do with basic ethics. No harm.
So Zopa, so I'm thinking now of what you were saying of tracking down your own anxiety.
Yeah.
With the kids program, things happen really fast. So but do you think we can do that with the children, with the behavior and our own behaviors and reactions to that in the moment?
Okay, say more.
So it seems to me...
I kind of see where you're going, but I'm not quite sure. So. Well, she's talking specifically of
this morning
KCC.
We had the children, and
it gets a little wild.
Things happen so fast, and you don't...
With 8 children running around, yes, it does.
And a lot of boys.
A lot of wonderful little boys who move quickly.
But when you were going through that, it seemed to me to be offering a path that I would like to take.
Oh, I see.
With the children, with myself, with you, with Mary, with the other participants, the parents, and with the kids. Yeah. It's maybe the first time I've seen what teaching Dharma could mean down there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I get it. Okay. Now I get the question. So we need, whatever we want to do, it's hard to do in the hardest circumstances. So first, do it on the cushion. You know, welcome in your anxiety. You know, and you're not the only one. How many deal with anxiety? You don't have to say, but it's like an AA meeting. Anyway, so do it on the cushion. And one way to be effective at that is invite in a situation like maybe one occurred in the children's program today. Bring the whole memory in there on your cushion. Feel the anxiety. That's the first thing. And one of the best directions I ever got from teachers is feel it in your body. Like find the place in your body, or it could be a few places where it kicks up. For me, it's pretty much belly and solar plexus. I've gotten so I can almost feel it before a thought comes now. The body seems to know first. And then I go, oh, okay, there it is. Hi. And then just be light with it. Oh, yeah, that's my anxiety, all right. That's it. And stay with it a bit. What does it do in your hands? What thoughts accompany it? Like, generally the thought is, I gotta do something now. I gotta move. I gotta. Just sit with those, listen to the thoughts, but don't get caught in a story. Like, I should have, in that situation, said this, done this. Let that story go by. Just stay with, okay, I see the planning thoughts. Anxiety leads to planning. By the way, it's usually planning that's not effective because it's planned based on fear. So just sit with it over and over. And then the next thing I started doing, this is just how it worked for me, do it on the cushion. Then start noticing off the cushion. Like if I'm going to drive in a lot of traffic, my anxiety goes up right away. If I drive on side streets, no problem. But if I have to go on the freeway, I just watch it. It's like, whoa, look at that, just starts going up, heart starts pounding. Nothing bad's happening. I'm just, entering the freeway. So just noticing and even almost dialoguing with it, like I see you, I feel you, breathing. So then when you get in an exciting situation, like 8 lively, very sweet children, but who are going in all kind of directions, then you'll be more apt to be able to think of something different. But that's not the place to start. Does that make sense? Yeah. Practice ahead of time. We don't learn to swim when we're in the tsunami. Got to learn in the quiet pool of the meditation cushion. Just like me, other people feel anxious. Yeah. I will mention one book, which is Tara Brach, B-R-A-C-H. She's a Buddhist teacher. And what's the title of that book? Radical Acceptance. Thank you. Yeah, it's a wonderful book about radically accepting these kind of emotional states with a Buddhist framework. It's been very helpful. Yeah, and then she has another one out, but I haven't read that yet. Quite helpful, not difficult, paperback. Yeah, one of those kind of you can go back to again and again. Cynthia.
So your mention of the steps and the stages, first on the cushion, and then try to see it in the off the cushion, and then maybe act on it off the cushion. That's very much how I learned to limit my swearing. First I had to hear it. First I had to want to do something about it, the motivation, and then hear it afterwards, hear it during, finally hearing it before but not enough to, and then finally being able to hear it before and choosing not to. But so those stages I've noticed, but something else I've been trying and also wondering about is speaking up and putting it out loud what I might be. In other words, instead of being opaque to the people around me or the kids, saying it out loud, but depending on who and what the relationship is, making it, wording it differently depending on whether it was the 12-year-olds this last week or not, but it can, and then this is another aspect, I think, and so things are spinning in a lot of different strings at the same time.
Okay.
One of them being a different aspect of ego or self. When is voicing something out loud and trying to be clear about what the resistance or the attraction might be, or the neutral. And then when is it too much ego, too much talking? And I go,
yeah. This is a moment-by-moment practice. But the fact, to me, that you hold that question, you're holding a question which says, am I bringing too much ego here? That's your tool. A lot of us don't bring that question, and especially when the egos run wild and we've taken over, we've lost that question. Does that make sense? We've lost track. We're no longer asking, am I bringing too much ego? Is there too much I here? The I has taken over, and that question's gone. So for sure, when we look back at those moments, we can say, I lost it there. And every time, we're so hard on ourselves. We expect perfection, and we expect too much. There's a mind training slogan in the 7-point mind training in the mini slogans, and I love it. The first time I saw it, partly because I grew up on a farm in Montana and I had donkeys, and it said, "Don't put the load of an ox on a donkey." And I was drawn to the saying part because of my donkeys, but I think in Tibetan it's translated, "Don't put the load of a zo onto a load of a yak, or a zo onto a donkey." But I love it because I started working with it for about a week. There was a mind training class I was in, and you'd take a slogan, and for a week you'd apply it on and off the cushion. And I started seeing I was doing it to me. I was the donkey, and I was putting the load of an ox on me, and I was being mad at myself because I couldn't carry that load. And I thought, oh, I'm the donkey. And then I would say, just to make a compassionate kind of sweet thing, I would say to myself, Zopa's a little donkey. Don't do that to her. And it would lift. I would be like, why am I thinking I'm going to be perfect about this? For God's sake. you know? Give the little donkey a break. She's a learning donkey, you know? It's not going to do a lot of circus tricks the first time through. And so these things can help us to be a little lighter. And the thing you're describing is just a lifelong practice, I think, you know? Did my ego take over there? Oh, yeah, I see that. Well, I'm a little donkey. I'm learning, you know. I'm learning, I see it. I've gone into Lama Michael a few times with things that I think I'm doing wrong or I'm really worried about. And he'll say, Zopa, you see it. You see it. And I say, yeah, so I see it. But I didn't fix it. And he said, you see it. That's the fix. That's it. Once you see it, your wisdom's going to rise. This isn't, now I'm just taking off from him saying that. Your wisdom rises about it. You'll see it over and over. You'll aspire not to do it. Your mind will find the ways. And if you practice on the cushion and you do the 3 things in Buddhism that we do to learn our Dharma, study, which includes come here, it includes reading, it includes going online and listening to good Dharma talks. You study, you contemplate, like your question's a very contemplative question. Your question's very contemplative. Your question, they're all like, I've been thinking about this. I see in my life, Carolyn, I see in my life, you know. That's the contemplative part. And then meditate. Sit, make space, clear out. Don't worry if your mind's busy or not. It's not the point. Just sit. Just focus. Then we learn to focus. That focus then becomes the thing that sees. It makes it so we can see. But there's no formula. Did my ego get too big? Yeah, then it didn't, then it did, then it didn't. And I use it all. Use it all. Everything can be used to transform our minds into the initial innate wisdom and compassion. So we say transform, and it's kind of funny because we're not really transforming anything in terms of the basic nature of mind. That does not have any need to be transformed. But what we're transforming is our suffering. Transforming suffering into joy, courage, love, all those things. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I can't see the clock. We're probably at the end. Unless someone's got a burning question. Burning would be the word. Because we're boiling. Okay. Thank you. Let's dedicate.
By this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state.
Thank you. Hope to see you this week or next Sunday. Have a good week of practice. What do you think the temperature is?